22nd meeting of the Lake Kiowa Property Owners Association Board of Directors. Let's stand and pledge allegiance to the flag. Looks like we have 9 directors here. Yeah, so we have a quorum. The next thing is comments for the record, which I do not have tonight. The next thing is comments from the members. This will be the first opportunity that you have, and there will be another one towards the end of the meeting. So is there anyone that has any comments that they would like to address to the board? If you're here and have a comment on the APV vote, go ahead and say it now. Okay. The next item to be done is approve minutes. The first one is the regular board meeting of March 18th, 2024. Are there any changes or additions to the minutes that have been published in the package? So do I have a motion to approve those minutes? Dean, please. Do a second. 3 seconds. All in favor, raise your hand. It's 9-0. Okay, thank you. 0 distinction. The next one is the special board meeting workshop of March 27th. I don't know that we actually need to vote on that since that was just a workshop. The minutes are in the package. The next one is the special board meeting of April 3rd, 2023. Okay. Are there any changes or additions? To the board? Okay, we have a motion to approve the minutes as amended with changes. Nancy moves. 20 seconds. All in favor, raise your hand. It's 8 and 1 abstention. You really were here. So one is right there. The next thing we have is our financial update by the treasurer or her assistant, Rich Augustine.
I'm just gonna do it tonight, but next month I will do it. It'll be way shorter because I don't need the spotlight clip. The spotlight. Just gonna go.
Okay, Rich. Show that.
Next slide, please. Why is this not working like it used to?
All right, this is the summary for March. Revenue expense revenue was ahead of schedule. Expense was below, so we had a total net revenue positive of $81,000 for the month. For the year, we're almost $196,000 positive. We also had this month, over $4,000 in interest income that came in from our investments. Year to date total for almost $39,000 for the investments. Next slide. This is just for lodge, food and beverage. The revenue, again, for the month was ahead. Expense was also over. For the month, it was a negative total of just over $4,000. Actual budget for the year, we are net positive of 41,000. Next slide. Treasury summary for the major revenue contributions. Food and beverage, again, actually the budget was 23,000 positive. Green fees, 4,500 for the positive. Miscellaneous income, basically the resale of certificates for homes and citations was a positive 3,000. We were a little bit below on sanitation. That has to do just with the our fees and payback timing. Next slide. The expense highlights, public works, golf maintenance, administration, security are all ahead to budget. Those are all mostly due to salaries, benefits. Lodge, food and beverage was to the negative, over $11,000, mostly from the initial purchase of uniforms, linens, and recruiting to try to increase that. Next slide. Reserve funds, all balances are increased. And for our delinquent accounts, we are a little bit higher than normal, about $1,400. Our 90 days is still about the same. We have 9 accounts that are over 90 days that are pretty consistent from month to month. Next slide. Treasury summary, again, we have $475,000 in our checking balance. In our reserve funds, we have over $4 million for a total balance of $4.7 million. Next slide. These are the investments. Well, if you total them all up, it's probably just under $4 million. So of that 4.7, we have almost $4 million is invested. Again, we have almost $39,000 a year in interest. I think if we keep up at this rate, we'll be well over 100, probably approaching we're able to keep that all in there, probably about $200,000 in interest by the end of the year. Next slide. Economic indicators, national CPIU for the 12 months. Items less food and energy was up 3.9%. CPIU for the Dallas DFW area, all items less food and energy was up 6.2%, which was second worst out of the 23 areas tracked. And the PPI goods and services was up another 9.9% from January to January, year over year. That's all. Any questions?
Thank you. Okay, the next thing that we have is review and possible approval of committee changes. Okay, committee changes for April 2024. In celebration, Nancy has asked to add Kathy C., Pete Gorman, remove Chris Hale, Julie Hoyt, Jeremy Jordan, and Marilyn Ford. The next one that has a change is land use for the 52 acres. Add Dan Bush, add Clark Enright, and remove Steve Davis. The Long Range Planning Committee wants to remove Crystal Hilton. The next one is Ways and Means is changing their meeting time to the third Tuesday at 3:30 at the lodge. And then we're wanting to add a new ad hoc committee called the Par 3 Donations Ad Hoc Committee. Pretty good, eh? The chair will be Jeff Hecker. The members will be Dean McElroy, Gerald Smith, and Jim Morrison, and they will meet as needed. So those are the changes in committees for this month. Are there any comments? Uh, R3 donations ad hoc committee. Okay. Is there a motion to approve the committee changes? I'll move. Tom Sledge seconds. Any further comments? Okay. All in favor, please raise your hand. It's 9-0. Thank you. The next thing is Architectural Control Committee. Review and take possible action on the constitutional laws 1366, 1367, Pete Mason, and Rich Augustiniak.
Can you pull up the PowerPoint, please?
Yep.
Lot 1366 and lot 1367 Hogan was purchased not long ago by a new owner. It's actually a house and then a vacant lot next door. He wishes to constitute lots and combine them for the purpose of basically a garden house, and to fence in the perimeter of the property. Next slide. Again, he's done all the necessary paperwork and ownership. Next slide, please. This is the house with the lot with the house. That's all septic on it. The next lot has been vacant, I think, since the inception. Here is the survey of both lots together, and you can see a little square in the vacant lot. That's his proposed general area of the garden house he plans to build. Next slide. And then this is just a representation of kind of what it will look like. He doesn't have the exact plans yet. And then again, he's gonna put a fence around the perimeter, black wrought iron railing to match what's on the existing house. The ACC has reviewed this and recommends to the board for approval.
Okay, are there any questions? Is there a motion to approve Tom Sledge? Is there a second? Right. Okay, any further comments or concerns or questions? All in favor, please raise your hand. It's 9-0. Okay, the next one is Rules Committee review of proposed rule changes. George?
All right, there were no comments regarding the setback change. So I guess we move forward with that. We did receive, and I understand that some board members received separate from what Rich and I may have received, comments regarding the ATV rule. I understand where a lot of these people are coming from. It's mainly safety and concerns. But if you read the rule, you still have to adhere to the speed limits within the confines of our community, which make these things extremely more safe than running out on Highway 902 at 80 miles an hour. There were some noise concerns. I don't find these any noisier than the Harleys that come up and down my street. Beyond that, they're looking at, well, does my vehicle comply? Someone, I can't remember who it was here, was concerned about their Can-Am. Well, as long as the vehicle is licensed by the state of Texas, displays the appropriate licensing, is insured, has a licensed driver, which have to be 16 or older in the state of Texas, and is meets all the marking requirements by the POA, there's no restrictions. As far as the safety measure goes, we have 25-mile-an-hour speed limit here. I see golf carts going faster than that, quite honestly. So I got 4 separate comments. I think Rich had maybe one additional one. I understand maybe you did, Bill. So with that, I see no reason why not to move forward.
Okay, these are the 2 that have been published in the communique and constant contact.
Correct.
Okay. We'll take them one at a time. The ATV rule, which is 3.3.2.1. Is there a motion to approve that? Barry has moves. Is there a second? There's a second. Any further comments or concerns?
We voted on an amendment to the school last year. Can you refresh my recollection on the difference between last time we visited the school and this one?
Basically, same intent, we did revise the language, a lot of the requirements, just the specifications, but it's basically the same intent.
Okay. All those in favor, raise your hand. All those against, raise your hand. Okay. The next one is setback rule. Which is 3.3.2.20. Are there any comments on that? Is there a motion to approve? Sledge moves. Any McElroy is the second. All those, are there any further comments or concerns? Okay, all those in favor, raise your hand, please. 9-0. Okay. All right, George, excellent.
Right, in conjunction with the Architectural Control Committee, the Rules Committee sat down, and as a result of hearing for 18 months or more, negative comments from residents about equipment being parked on residential lots that were a nuisance to the community. It was primarily construction equipment. So as a result, and we tried over numerous meetings to come up with some kind of language, Pete and I got together and we had a little ad hoc committee for one day and sat down and spent hours trying to put some language together to kind of try to eliminate the parking of industrial equipment on private lots out here. This would be a new rule, 3.3.2.25. I think you got the handout from Rich. And it is parking or storage of industrial or construction equipment on residential lot. And it reads, parking of industrial or construction equipment on residential lots is prohibited between the hours of 7 p.m. and 7 a.m. unless the residential lot is a construction site prominently displaying a valid permit issued by the association, equipment belonging to the association, utility companies, or district or contractors working on behalf of the association is exempt from the operation of this rule. Commute vehicles for personal and business are exempt. We've seen a bunch of those around here that might have their company logo on the side as a pickup truck, or it's a wrap vehicle for Medicare assistance or whatever. So those are exempt. And we have examples down there of what industrial or construction equipment should be limited to. Excavators, backhoes, cranes, forklifts, loaders, bulldozers, paving, asphalt, road rollers, trenchers, dump trucks, dump trailers, roll-out trailers, tandem or greater axle vehicles, trenching tractors, earth movers, skid steers, bobcats, and boom lifts. There may be more. We thought for a long time but couldn't come up with any. And it's the intention is to limit that to make our community look more like a residential community than a parking lot for industrial equipment. Any questions regarding that?
So you've got commute vehicles as exempt, but do those even fall under the definition? The way that you listed out the example doesn't seem to include commute vehicles. You've got it as an exemption, but it's even fall under the definition.
Well, is a truck with your company name on the side, we consider that a commute vehicle. We tried to broaden its focus so that we didn't have to list, vehicles that were wrapped for business purposes, for marketing display, their intent. There are numerous ones of those that are in our community. If you're looking to have a more defined what a commute vehicle is that what you're looking at, Sean?
Well, I just read industrial and construction equipment. Yeah, is there a distinction equipment versus a commute vehicle? Like some guy's truck with the logo on the side, is that, what are we trying to address? Is that, are we even talking about personal vehicles at all, or is this just all things that are used?
The intent of this is to stop people from parking their skid loaders and the like on their private property. Which, if you were the neighbor, you certainly wouldn't like that. And driving around our community, there's quite a few of them right now. And it seems to be getting more and more.
Someone's gonna argue what a commute vehicle is at some point though. Isn't that 450 a commute vehicle? Semi, I think anyone would agree that it's not a commute vehicle, but an F-450 and F-550 is not a commute vehicle. Kind of touchy, I probably.
I guess that's my thought, is that are we even trying to address vehicles that you could drive on? Or are these just items that are used?
Well, we don't want a semi-trailer parked out here. Either the tractor nor the trailer. That was the intent. That could be a commute vehicle, actually. I mean, if you're using that to go back and forth to pick up your trailer and park somewhere else, that could be considered a commute vehicle.
George, I guess what I see more of is like people with lawn equipment and things like that, have commercial lawn equipment on their, trailers and stuff on their lots. Is that what is included? Is that the intent? Is that, somebody has, their lawn business, and they pull it back to their house every night and park it on the yard or the lot? Is that we're trying to take care of, or no?
It's partially it. Most of them are inside trailers, and most of those trailers would qualify to be parked on the lot. We're trying to limit that because this has become a nuisance to a lot of people. I've probably heard from at least 30 people in 10 months. Then Pete's heard from even more.
Oh. You never use yours, right? Just as an example, there's a gentleman that has his business, over on the east side, and it's tools, equipment that he uses, that vehicle, and it's a very large truck that he uses for his business. I think a lot of us have seen that, and I think that's, that is his business, going out there and working and selling his products to service organizations out there. So it's, we don't want to be that type of an individual. It's the people that got skid loaders that are sitting on the side of the house, like on hole number 7. You see that all the time when you drive around there. So there's, and then all around the area, there's quite a few people that are parking these vehicles around, and it's very unattractive.
Like the box trailer, cargo trailer, as you come down the hill on the left-hand side on the drive, before the driving range. You see that one? Cargo trailer, like an enclosed trailer.
the one just before the driving range, so, yeah, and if I remember, sometimes he's got equipment on a trailer there as well. It's here on it right there. Yeah, that's what we're trying to, clean up. And it's mainly because residents that were your neighbor, you wouldn't particularly care for it either.
I'm in agreement with the rule, I just think we need a better commute vehicles, is my concern.
If we could do that.
I mean, in my mind, women be part.
Okay, are there any further comments on that proposal? Are you gonna fix that?
We could go back and, try to fix that.
Okay,
We're not attorneys, and
not,
there's a lot of discussion going on. So if you want to table that till next month, we don't have a problem doing that.
okay, okay, thank you.
Yeah, just so you know, there's a modification to another rule that we made some changes to because it kind of contradicted this new. You have
So you
that,
don't need to do that one until you do this.
yeah, we don't need to do the modification until we get the new rule.
Okay, we'll take that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, the next item on the agenda is the front entrance committee jump box.
I'll take this.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I don't have a presentation about it, Rich could fill you in what's in the back. I will let you know that we did meet last week, so, we're all. We can move forward.
Thank you. Great.
Actually, last month did a presentation basically bringing up to date about the status of this project. Meeting with the consultants and the engineers. One, we'd like to move forward with the architectural portion of the contract. The initial contract was for feasibility, site plan, and civil. This next portion is for the actual architectural part for the renovation of existing guardhouse and the construction of the guard hut. So we're asking to expedite things and move forward with a proposal for those designs. And as well, we got another proposal in there for additional civil work. Again, to finish, to complete their drawings, they're looking for more soil information. I think they're looking for 2 borings for additional sum of $2,700.
All right, so this, the first one is for how much?
9,100.
Then the paradigm is for another,
2,700.
that's the cost.
That's correct.
It's right there. So it's marked out 2,600 for the high definition. Is that all?
To be just 2,700 for borings. 2,700, the 2,600 is crossed out on the architectural contract. That's not included in this sum. It was 30, whatever.
Okay, so it is now 29,100.
Okay. Sorry.
Not all of it. Yeah.
Sorry, there's 2 proposals. The first one and the second one, I was just trying to move through both. You want to do one at a time, or do one at a time?
We'll do both of them.
Just for reference, it's exactly the same contract except for the fees and the scope as the previous contract, so it didn't have James review. It's the same.
So he took the revenue hit. Okay. Okay, are there any comments? We'll get there. Any comments, any questions or concerns? Progress on the first, okay, good deal.
So it said it's like 6 to 8 weeks, is that correct? Is there room for reading that? And how long did it take to finish all the drawings and?
Correct.
So like that?
And we're trying to get the civil done. We'd like to get these done all at the same time, so we don't have a break.
Right, okay.
Did you resolve the water line?
Resolve, it will be resolved. It's not resolved as of right now.
Good enough. Okay, are there any further questions? Do we have a motion to approve this? Rita. Vote. And Nancy seconds. Any further questions? Is there a vote?
Restate the actual proposed one.
Okay, we're approving the contract for 20 Bluestone and the contract for Carolina. Okay. All in favor, please raise your hand. Okay, it's unanimous, 9-0. Good. Okay. The next item on the agenda is the Parks and Recreation Committee goals and objectives.
I won't read this to you necessarily, but from a reasoning standpoint, we all agreed that with the election of new directors, that we needed to maybe provide more transparency overall to the POA membership. Part of that process was to have the chair of each committee provide just I'll call it a summary goals and objectives of 2024. You see that the presentation of each of the goals, again, just to enhance the transparency and better understanding of the working of our organization. And again, obviously the changes here are, I'll call it flex from year to year, is going to depend on things such as wants and needs of the community and membership, as well as budget dollars available, and prioritization projects. So for the Parks and Recreation group, looking at goals here, and before that, I'll go back and kind of review the park and charter purposes, and just read that. But the Lake Kiowa Property Owners Association Parks and Recreation Committee will advise and assist the board of directors in determining policy and procedures in all matters affecting the community's parks and outdoor recreation facilities other than the golf course. The overall objective of the board through the Parks and Recreation Committee is to provide a safe and enjoyable outdoor recreation facility for the POA membership, and again, that's straight out of the bylaws. So the park goals for 2024, you can see listed there. There's really two that we lined out, and it will see identification of wants and needs associated with the Parks and Recreation Charter to be in alignment with the Lake Kiowa Master Plan and the Long Range Planning Committee's list. B here is to determine priorities that again align with the POA financial budget, and to look at what options are available for funding. Go into that here from the objective standpoint. The differentiation between goals and objectives, sometimes that comes up and people get a little confused. I go back and try to line that out. Goals should be reflective of the POA wants and needs while being in alignment again with the master plan and long range planning. Priorities should be determined by again available budget dollars and project timelines. as well as POA requests, wants, and needs. The objectives are really supportive mechanisms to help us reach those goals. That part of it really won't change from one committee to another. As such, there's going to be some uniqueness in there, but again, all of those things should be in alignment with the master plan, the long range plan for the park objectives for 2024. There were really three that we identified, utilizing available tools such as the long range planning biennial survey that we do pretty much every other year. Meeting with other committees and organizations to help determine the membership's wants and needs. The second one here, and take into account what type of financing is available to support requested POA wants and needs, whether that may be something that's self-funded by an organization or partially funded. We've seen so far in this year a loan and repay process for the history book that we're going to do. And then other than that, donation processes, and the available funding maybe from the POA, depending on the priority. So utilization of common management tools, I think everybody understands what a plus and minus board exercise is. So just things like that, it comes down to it. I've listed potential park projects for 2024, and these are just things that are identified in no particular priority as of yet. We have a Veterans Memorial Park, West Beach upgrades, pickleball courts, children's playground, tennis court upgrades and maintenance for that. East Beach upgrades, upgrades to current walking trails, proposed all-purpose recreation indoor facilities, enhanced dock maintenance improvements in conjunction with the Lake Management Committee and the Anglers and Conservation Club. That is pretty much it for the Parks Committee. I think long range planning has the next presentation next month.
Yeah, the next one.
Question?
Thank you. The next item that we have is to review and take possible action on rescheduling the May 22nd, 7th board meeting since it's on Memorial Day. Since that's actually the end of the Memorial Day holiday, I'm wondering how many people are actually going to be here. So, I'd like to not keep moving the board meeting on. We could possibly not do that. If we can get a quorum, we ought to try and go ahead and have it, I think.
I'll be here.
No. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Likely not possible.
Other 6. So we'll have a quorum. So, if unless there's an objection, we'll just go ahead and have it on the 27th. Next thing we have to review and take possible action on the part 3 course pledges and collection of pledges. Dean, are you the presenter of this list? Okay, go ahead.
So at this time, we put this in here because things were moving quickly, and of course, we want to get started as soon as possible. Everything's new. We don't know how long the collecting the cash is going to take and other things. But we are still a little bit off. We are pretty much there. Like I say that when we had our last meeting, we were $300,000 off on the construction and 108 on maintenance, and we're pretty much there. We've got some places that need to, on the commercial side, need to get finalized, and, we're just not real comfortable with pulling the trigger at this point. We do have additional things that we'd love to get. We do not have a golf cart path, a scenic golf cart path, or just right now it's just grass cart path. We'd love to have that. Pavilion, we could, extend that. And, so we're hoping to get some more pledges to go. Maybe we'll have a special meeting and talk about that later. And, I'm thinking of a day or two, put it that way. And, thank you for everybody's support. We're brought up there. This diagram that you have in your packet of the course, please throw that away. That is not gonna happen. It's pictured where there's gaps in the, that was kind of a bomb dropped on us. The architect decided to draw that up and send it to everybody. We asked him, what are you thinking? Not gonna happen. So, we do have another drawing that we will get to everybody, and the plan is for everybody to look at it and approve it here on this board, and, that's close also, very close. We need to let you know some background. We've had Brian and Lauren in on a bunch of meetings. They, caught some things we hadn't thought about, because guess what? They do that for a living, and they found some things that we missed, and we added in and took away some, and so we're working on that and getting some new drawings. Rich, did you have anything to add?
No, we just are working on this, like you said, we're getting close. We're actually at a meeting today to try to finalize the drawings. A lot of it's kind of a cut and fill, kind of, you know, with the drawing, you have, it's kind of a mistake again, but we're trying to make sure we don't have any misunderstandings. So we're working on get the final plan done, and hopefully that'll be really soon.
And by the way, the final plan looks like the one out here. I mean, you wouldn't be able to tell the difference. Brian, for example, Brian said we have to have 10 inches below the green, not 7 inches of fill and gravel and all that stuff. That's there's a PGA, a California, and then they had a 7-inch, and he said, we're not doing that. So we had to go back and get a 10-inch, and, that has to be recalculated and all that. So things like that we're looking at. You probably wouldn't be able to tell the difference by looking at the picture out in the hall, but things like that have been changed. And I'm thankful that they looked that over. We're there. Isn't that awesome? We're gonna get us part 3.
It's awesome. So thank you very much for that. A couple of things. James has finished the review of the contracts, and we will be forwarding those to the guys shortly. So there's a lot already, but they'll be okay. So that's the next thing we need to talk about is the Part 3 folks would like us to have another special board meeting. And we would like to do that on May 1st, which is the week from this coming Wednesday at 6 o'clock in the southwest room. Is there a problem with that day or time? It's a Wednesday. At what time? 6 o'clock. Yep, but
We're talking May the 1st.
Yeah.
okay, did you have an issue with it?
I can work here.
Will be. Okay, we can do it. So, May 1st it is, at 6 o'clock. We will have more than, as normal, we will have more than Part 3 issues on that agenda. Because our attorney has advised me of something that we can't do that we probably could, so we will we can fix that timeline first. We have little minutes issue that we have to fix. If we want to audit that, it's, you know, there won't be hard, that's not, that's, but we got to fix. Okay. Any other comments for the part three? Oh, one final thing. As it relates to the ad hoc committee, I should have talked about it when we did the committee update. But the ongoing fundraising for the part three is gonna be forever, you know, for a long period of time. So we needed to formalize that committee. And they do not report, it will not report to the golf committee, it will report directly to the board. So we will have periodic updates from them. So, anyway, okay. The next thing we have is Mr. Augustiniak and his report, and now the big dollars.
Just start out right with funding requests as the first item. The dam, the low flow outlet repair. I tried to do it in black and white as clear as possible, all the options that have been reviewed by EDA. And I'll just, I guess, read through this. The LKPO is required to maintain the 24-inch low flow outlet as our permit rights are required by the state as our water is owned by Dallas. The functional low flow outlet would also allow the lake to be lowered in support of necessary upcoming dam maintenance, like I spoke about before, the downstream portion, and for additional freeboard for either those repairs, any other repairs, or in case of the storms we could actually lower the freeboard in anticipation of the storm, so we don't have such an effect on our lake walls or property. Low flow outlet gate valve has not been tested, operated for several years. The inlet grade is estimated to be covered with about 6 feet of silt, which would need to be removed. And for our last inspections that we went over, the structure and the access cover need repair as it stands. Opening the gate could lead to draining of the lake. The gate valve cannot be shut, so that's something we don't want. If the gate valve is found to be inoperable, unrepairable, it can't cost effectively be replaced without removal of substantial portion of the structure, which is also cost prohibitive compared to other options. As far as repair and replacement, again, the POA has two options to meet their application: either test or repair the existing low flow outlet, or properly abandon the structure and replace with a second pump. That is extremely expensive, and I don't think we want to go down there. So what we want to do is basically repair the outlet, which would involve, again, removing the silt, doing all the repairs as necessary. The manhole cover and seal, also we need to place kind of like a safety feature to plug the pipe just in case the valve doesn't close. So then we just test it out and see what happens. That cost in itself is about $20,000. Now, assuming the gate valve is not operational, there's an option to add a secondary valve, kind of a redundancy, but that'll help, again, just, give some comfort with how everything is operating. And also, it's, potential replacement in case, let's say the valve or something get damaged, we have the option. Then replace it with low flow to the existing 24-inch charge that they're now consistent with siphons per evaluated. The pumping system required to maintain the equivalent flow would be prohibitively expensive, astronomical, require additional maintenance compared to this siphon system. The siphon system design consisted of a 36-inch pipe buried 5 feet deep across the dam. It's kind of similar to now, goes through a different area and deposit in the same place that the outlet is now. The existing tower would also still require repair. And if we didn't repair it, we basically have to abandon it either which one, which would be prohibitively cost expensive, $7,000 or $80,000 repeated. So the recommendation would be repairing or replacing the low flow outlets and testing the valve. And again, there's just some risk with that. If it doesn't, work, run into the issue, you have to actually still do that cycling portion of the $60,000 cost. So again, my recommendation would be to approve $260,000, which would be basically testing it, putting it in secondary valve in case something did happen. Therefore, one should approach it with the $120,000 cost and go from there. Still, I would anticipate or just go forward with $260,000, even if you were to just 120, just to approve that amount, so there's no delays or any issues that we prepare to pay them to spend that money.
Can I ask some questions? Sure. So I'm gonna ask some questions that I've been asked by the community that I didn't have the answer to. When they hear $260,000, of course, me is, you know, we gotta have the damn things, right? You know, and, it is like, we need that thing, so I'm for it, but to ask me questions that I can't answer, one of them is, have we ever had to let water out of it before? Have we ever let water out? Have they ever required us to? Have they ever asked us?
We have never been required to do so.
So in order for us to stay, what happens if we don't have a way to let water out? Do we get fined? Do we get?
I'd have to research the entire pollution being non-compliance with our permit, basically for our lake. So I don't know what they could do to us, but our permit would no longer be valid, would be in violation, non-compliance.
Okay, that's kind of what I said. The other thing I'll ask is cost prohibitive for pumps. So they say, why don't we just, if we have to let water out, because we never had, if it comes up, why don't we just rent some pumps and pump it out?
Well, again, for their numbers and their evaluations, it's not effective. And again, you can challenge those and you can do it another way, I'm sure. That was the analysis that I was given.
Is that a CEQ thing that we have to be in compliance of the? So that's really who's got the hammer here, it's not the city of Dallas.
Likewise, that's our water rights permit, and then we have the dam, et cetera, that's all controlled by TCEQ. And likewise, you know, this would still actually have to be approved by TCEQ. So we could propose doing just the repair, and they could tell us no, but they want something additional. So again, this could be our proposal, we could go on the low end or say something, or say we're gonna do pumps, and TCEQ could deny it.
Are they pushing back right now because they know the valve won't open? We don't actually know that it won't open. So the cat's in the box, we don't know if the cat's dead or alive. Are they telling us we have to actuate the valve today? Is that the problem?
Part of our last inspection is this has to be an operable valve, and they know that it's not operable. So part of our requirements is doing something with it.
How do they know it's not operable?
Well, again, per the inspection, nobody wanted to touch it because it might not be operable. So like that, you know, like I said, we can go through that test. There's still issues with the tower, 50 years old, needs repair, and then we can test the valve. So we can test it, like I said, that's fine. But yeah, right now, we haven't opened it, so we're not compliant, so we'll get it that way.
So what's the difference between the 120 and the 260? What do we get? It's just the double on that.
It's a safety feature, basically,
So
redundancy.
at the very end of their letter in their proposal, there's a paragraph at the very end, and it says, if these don't meet your needs, we could possibly go back and ask them if we still need to give them the same amount of water. Right?
That would be another study.
That'd be another study, and that wasn't part of their plan, correct? So that is also an option, to go back and renegotiate the water rights, if you would.
That's possible, even they don't have to even do that. Like we can request if they want, they could just say no, but it is possible.
That's a possibility, at least we can try it, and then we can always answer the next question that Dean's gonna be asked, is that, did you try to get, reduce your rights in some way?
And again, this, we're moving forward with the barometers, which I can get to in a little bit. That was actually just approved by TCEQ to actually move forward with that, and I'm getting bids. They move at a glacial pace. Even any of this basically just doing the work we're doing and investigating it is sufficient to show that we're moving forward, so there's no urgency either. I mean, I'd like to move forward, get things, done to get them off the plate, but it's not an emergency. And they do, I mean, you just show progress and show that you're committed to it, TCQ is pretty fine with it. We did have our 5-year inspection, I really don't think we should go another 3 or 4 years without doing anything, and did our inspection, we did run into issues. But this isn't something we have to do tomorrow, just going through the process. And we can move forward, delay, anything you wish, again, it's a lot of money.
Do other lakes have a local power, what do they use, like the lakes here in this area, similar permits?
They do have different methods of doing that, they have different permits, but yeah, there's a lot of different ways that they can do it. Some of them actually have right in the dam to where, some of the barriers.
And I think if you do the study, even if you have a reduced amount that you have to release, you still have to be able to release the water, and that's where we're out of compliance. We can't release water.
We don't know that we can't. Release
Well, we know that we can probably release water, we don't know if we can turn it off.
This is similar to a lot of the things we face in healthcare, as far as you have to have a plan to do it, to react, and there may not ever be enforcement of this. But to me, I think that's another option we need to consider is, we have a plan in place for what happens if we have to release water. That plan in itself could meet the requirement, that plan may be run out pumps, but have some, detail behind it. As long as we stay compliant, why spend the money?
That's kind of my point. If we can't open it, if they ever call us. If they ever call us to actually open it, we can't open it, we cannot shut it. So we're in compliance of delivering the water, but we can never turn it off.
Well, we actually don't know if we can open it, we haven't tried to open it, so it might be inoperable. Possible.
Is what's underneath the silt, is that a grate? Or is that like a manhole cover kind of thing? Do we know?
It's a great,
It's a grate, so there's actually water already in it,
well, theoretically.
or it's full of
I
silt,
assume there was water in it before this was covered it up, so I assume there's.
right? Or it's full of silt, right? Which would be the reason you couldn't open the valve, depending on what was.
Wait, it's a gate balance.
I think we should just go ahead and put Dylan down there, because I noticed there's a platform and you turn the thing, so.
It's a gate balance, come straight in.
I know. Right.
But I think I think we're still in compliance if it will open, but I don't know I haven't read the full. In the permit, does it say we have to exercise the valve every 5 years? I don't think that's in the permit, so.
The permit itself doesn't say that, the TCU partners does have that, you're supposed to do it at least once a year, or we have an annual inspection.
Okay, that's what I didn't.
The other part of that is, that thing's getting old. And that's what we got between us and No Lake. And, we probably need to, I would feel better if it fixed.
But we don't know that it's broke.
Right, but it's awfully old and has cracks, they said it has cracks, that needs to be fixed and those type of things. So are there any more, what are you asking for?
Well, just direction overall, like my suggestion was to do the redundancy, but that was just my proposal. Again, any kind of direction to go back, check our water rights, and look at the pumps again. Just give me direction of my next step.
Well, it seems to me that we ought to ask for our water contract to be full change. So that we could maybe give them a cup of tea or something, plus some beer or something. Sounds like a better deal to me, but anyway, and we ought to fix it. It's just, we ought to see if we can get them to back off first.
Well, to James's point, there's two things. We do this so we don't they won't call for our water and it's relinquished, because any amount of water we still have to have. So getting back to get our water rights permits, they would have to relinquish their rights to the water.
Bill, has Ways and Means looked at this, at, you know, the 260,000, and what do we think about that?
That would be no.
Let's have the Ways and Means look at that and see, you know, what our budget's gonna look like after we take $260,000 hit, what?
Okay, we can do that.
I mean, what's their recommendation? Should we target it for next year? Or should we get it done this year, or what, you know, what do they think about it?
Well, I assume based on TCEQ's response to other things that we've asked for, as long as we're moving down that road, they're happy campers.
If we tell them we have that on the agenda for next year, this month, and we're gonna replace it, get the 2 valves, we're gonna get half of it this year, and then the next half.
I think they would be pleased with that.
I think you test it to see if it's broke first. We made you people test it, it'd be fine, we can kick us.
But how do you test it without?
Inflatable plug.
Yeah, they're gonna put an inflatable plug in there.
They're gonna do that regardless. I don't, my personal opinion, Bill and I would not do a 2 valve system, it's not required. I would do the further thing, open the gate valve, they put in an inflatable plug. If we cannot shut the gate valve, they inflate the plug, but at that point, that you're gonna want them to replace that valve then. So my recommendation is you do the gate valve test first. If it does not close, you're gonna have to spend 140 grand, not the 260. I'm off my numbers, but 100-ish grand. The 260 is best case scenario, but I recommend the 100 and some odd thousand, but they need to spend to test the valve, what's the dollars? It's in here, I don't know, that's replacing. It's like 30.
66, that's a 60, that's 50, 60.
And that's fixing the tower. There's concrete that's leaking, testing the valve for 50 to 60 grand. I would think that would be the smart thing to do, get the valve tested, fix the concrete. If the valve works, we shut it, move on.
To fix the tower itself, everything is 120, and then if it doesn't work, I think the site is 50 to 60.
So how long does it take?
That's
How
not
long would it be to ramp all of this up? Because TCEQ has to approve it, right?
Yeah, we're probably looking at it for like 6 months, and, you know, be a while. And then another thing is, I was looking at this again, to help lower the lake level. The other thing we could do again with pumps, possibly, but we want to do the downstream repairs. You could do it in that order, test out pumps, to see how we can lower the lake level, because to do the upstream repairs, we need to lower the lake by 2 to 3 feet. So we could bypass this, try out a pump system and see if that works relatively, because we would need to do that to do the upstream repairs. The one thing is that you're kind of doing trial things, so. The downstream repairs.
So when would you plan to do the downstream repairs if we open the gate and test it at the same time?
No. For it's one thing you do to check it out. You have to schedule these things. You wouldn't be able to do it at the same time.
What are the downstream repairs?
The downstream repairs are basically to the non-water side of the spillway, the baffles, and everything down on the side. Correct. That does not even include it in any of this.
But if the gate valve works, we can just lower it.
Correct.
I think you get the gate valve, see if it works, but if it doesn't work, you need to be prepared to spend 120.
Okay, so is there a motion to that effect?
I move that we move forward and test the gate valve, but the money was 100, up to 120 up there.
Okay, do you want to run it through Ways and Means first? Or you just go ahead and.
Let's see the number.
Really? You want a second?
Yes.
I have a question. If we check the valve and it opens and it doesn't close, at what rate does the lake flow?
There's a temporary inflatable plug they would put in there. However,
How long is it?
My question, that's why I'm saying, if they have to deploy the plug, you're gonna wanna go and just go ahead and replace the valve. You got no option out of that.
Yeah.
So we would need to replace it anyway, based on this whole conversation. So I would approve whatever the dollar amount is to fix the tower and replace the gate valve. And assuming the gate valve fails, you would approve to go to the 140. Would be my recommendation.
So we're gonna have to have the new valve.
That was for two valves, for two. I agree.
Yeah, next year is not new, I mean, it's probably gonna be possible, they're not gonna do that.
What are the numbers? Here, the numbers to test the valve.
Just say 120, repair it. He compared it with the 120.
I agree, but I wanna know if the test in the fixing the concrete is correct, and then assuming it fails, we agree to the 120, right?
It's,
120, obviously, cost of 120,
That's the repair.
cost of good Texas.
that's what
It's an all, I don't know, it's funny. I don't know how you.
Yeah, I think you approved the 120, that gives you everything that you possibly need. Without we done it.
We could do that, you know, 30 grand.
Well, like I said, I'm pretty, I don't know.
Okay, so the motion is to approve 100,
Up to.
up to 120 and get renegotiate our water.
Well.
I would, it's not mixed. There.
But I would say that, you know, a motion was $120,000, not to exceed, to be able to go out.
All right. And just clarification, let's say we got our water rights, vanquished, that we don't require the valve at all. You can't just leave it there either, so you'd be paying for an abandonment, which would probably be the same cost, just for clarification, you're paying for something regardless.
Right.
Okay, so up to 120. Test the gate valve and get our water rights renegotiated.
Test the gate valve, and if it fails, you replace it.
Got it.
Nancy already did.
Okay. Okay, any further comments? All in favor? It's unanimous.
I'd also recommend that you still run through ways and means also, the rest of it, because there's other expenses that could possibly come up later on. And so I think that needs to be ways and means.
Yeah, Dan left, so we'll have to talk to him, but yeah, that's a good idea. You have another thing, Rich?
Sorry, taking notes. Next thing on my list was an unbudgeted O&M expense, the nature trail, took some severe damage, from the last rains. They need to, purchase about 40 yards of DG, and that replaced around, and actually that adds some additional drainage. The DG itself, for the material and the installation is about $4 grand. And then there's another, a little over $2 grand for the, drainage work, so it's about $6,225 total. It's just an unbudgeted O&M expense of the budget.
Any comments, questions, or concerns? Is there a motion to spend the 6255?
I know that we spend $62.55 for repairs to the horseshoe or the nature trail out of there. I'll just get to
Is there a second?
So going forward, I know you got this additional drainage in, so that was our concern, like a year or two ago when we did this, is that, of course, we didn't expect 5 or 6 inches in, you know, just a few hours, but, is there anything else that we need to do to reduce that for the future? Or do we need to just plan every year that we're gonna spend, $6,000, $10,000 for repairing?
Well, again, hopefully it won't be that severe, but there's always like some repairs, and I'm always doing some additional work, if I'm working on the drainage that comes off the golf course, there's some more work that I'm gonna be doing, or plan on doing. Anyways, most of it's fairly insignificant. One of the biggest things with the DG that hit, how it did wash out, we were pushing a lot of the DG off the path where it was. I really don't want to pull it back and pull all the grass with it, so basically widening the path areas, so it was kind of like, how do I, work with this, so it was easier just to get the additional DG and just add it, create where we need to make the improvements to widen the paths.
There are also a bunch of dead trees down there.
Yes, trying not to cut them all down, I cut down 25 or 30 last year.
Okay, any more comments on that? Okay, all in favor, please raise your hand. All right. Okay, that passes. Okay, anything else, Rich?
Yeah, I'll just run down, maybe let's look at the car and CDRF sheet. I put an updated one in there, really not much has changed. I could change the figure on the local outlet repairs now. But again, it's, this is kind of your schedule as well. So any comments and directions I can get from you guys, just moving things up, in, out, or prioritize, let me know. I just wanted to update a couple things that have been sitting there. Security radios, they've been approved for quite some time. Melanie's been working with the county. She's had a lot of progress. Now she has some block to where everything's approved and ready to go. She needs a place to locate the repeater and I guess all our water towers are already spoken for from AT&T and everything else. So she's trying to figure out how to accomplish that before she can move forward with the radios. And then, like I said, our dam dissolvers, I got notification that they've been approved. So I'm getting bids and getting that all together to get that portion of the dam repair done. We had spring cleanup. There was 16 roll-offs, which is actually the fewest we've had in a while. I can't remember it ever being under 20. So that's good and bad. Either people are not that much stuff to get rid of, or now they're keeping it. So one or the other. And then we've continued with staffing issues. Security is still down 2 people. Lodge and Tavern's looking for 2. Public Works is looking for 3 people right now. So that's one thing when we went over the financials. Again, we're way out on budget. We contribute to almost all of it to salaries. Then we hired Scott Manning back. He was previously the IT manager. He actually started in Public Works, so he's our new Public Works director.
Rich, I've got a few things, related to, on staffing, and I'm sure there's an answer I've not seen before. What kind of background checks do we do on folks like security before we hire them, to make sure they don't have any priors?
We do run a background check. As a matter of fact, I just had one come back on a employee that we were looking at.
Okay. Just heard some fun stuff about people we've hired at priors, and, just wanted to make sure we released doing background checks that were sufficient.
And we do background checks, and they do take hits. I don't know if they're perfect, but we actually use ones that are recommended to us by our insurance company. And then we do run drug tests as well.
Okay. Couple other things, the corner of Iroquois and Pueblo, there's a guardrail that kind of covers, I guess, the concrete runoff there. It looks like there's an erosion or where the pavement's starting to fall into that area, just kind of heads up. My daughter likes to fall in that hole. And the third thing was, and I'm not sure if this is a Brian Brown thing or a Rich thing, but around the golf course, specifically on the cart path on the 4, up close to the green on the right side, there's a depression that you jar your teeth out every time you drive over. I've heard that it's not a Brian thing, it's a Rich thing, so I don't know who's in charge. Yeah, where it looks like where they did a cut through to do some irrigation. That's where you usually see that. And then I think there's more than that location out there where you gotta get 1 or 2 inch drop on the cart path. and, right, keep it open.
Okay, and just to answer your question, it's kind of, Brian's money, and I normally, do contract work.
Can I add to his list? It's, just, we had all the water over the low level crossing, not this time, not the other day, but a week ago, right? And so, last weekend, we had lots of kids that were playing around low water crossing too. And they were over on the retaining side where that, like, looks like a bicycle rack is put up so trees will not go under the road. And so they were playing over there too. And so I don't see any signage any place that says, well, don't swim at your own risk, or, and all of them were unsupervised. There was nobody over 10 that was out there. And so just a thought for us, because, they're obviously out there playing and stuff like that, like, that's, how a lot of people grew up, and so,
I'll ask James, what's the best wording for a sign?
yeah, something, and they also were doing a lot of playing on the other side of where the water comes out, so, that's gotta be slick right there too, so, anyway, just a thought for us as we go through there. And you asked for priorities that were there, I'll just, I don't know how anybody else feels about it, but I'll continue to push up the lodge patio roof as to where we are there, to push that, a new grade like that. So,
Actually, I got Scott on that, he's working on it.
excellent.
And the TV working when we want to watch the baseball game? I know it.
What's wrong with your TV at your house? Yeah, we're gonna get all that,
Do I need to log
replaced.
my ballot?
sure, yes,
I'll bring my ballot.
okay, good idea.
Okay, anything else, Rich? I'm sorry, I'm adding on. Push it. Lodge hours, for, Sunday afternoons when people have, I understand in the winter time and having reduced hours when, it gets dark early and people are off the golf course early when the weather gets prime. And, folks are, teeing off at noon after they get out of church and they expect to go get, dinner or something afterwards, and that ain't happening. What's the kind of plan for that?
Well, hopefully, when he staffs up a little bit, we'll be able to get back to normal hours. I think he's been trying to not stress his staff as much, but I'll get with Jeremy and see what we can do. And also, I'll see what our previous numbers were as far as, number of tickets and, revenue.
So what's happening on that is staffing, and then he runs the numbers and closes and does really close to the same amount of dollars. So the extra hours is not
Reducing
right. It's
He hasn't been here this summer, I'm sorry.
right. No, but he has the numbers. He can look at the numbers and so it's, staffing and not trying to lose much money. Good.
I would say is that when you look at the numbers, you have to make sure that you, look apples to apples, and none of it's apples to apples. And so if you're gonna look at anything, look at pre-COVID numbers to see what we did whenever we were running and people could come in and do those things. So Tom's got a valid point there, but I would say if we can get him numbers that show him what we used to run pre-COVID, then I think that might be a little more of an indicator. I know that whenever we had an Easter event out there, we did very, very well selling, for cash, breakfast tacos and stuff like that. And so, more opportunity with more staff. I think we'll see more dollars coming in there. There's no doubt about that. the other piece to that is that I think he's doing breakfast on Sundays, right? And so that also pulls the staffing up. And so trying to cover that and not have to cover such a long day. Is that right?
And he's doing breakfast on Monday too, right? Not anymore at that stop.
We talked about.
Okay, good. Kind of speaking to a little bit about the treasurer's report and the lodge summary that won't be in there next time. Because I think a lot of it is gotta be also the community satisfaction, and it's not just all about numbers, because we can talk about the golf course if you want. It doesn't make money. The lodge is important for community gathering. Maybe on a Sunday that doesn't make money all the time, it's probably not a problem.
No, Rita makes a good point that we have been, asked to at least try to make that thing break even. It's losing a lot of money and our budgets. But that is, we could make it make money tomorrow by raising prices, you know what I'm saying? So it's a board decision, really. I mean, that's,
Sunday, like, I have talked to Rich about it, probably every single time he sees me. It's, so gathering place, when people are outside the church,
right.
it's important for the community to talk about. Staffing is not the main problem. That's about.
I'll us nine in here get that done. You have.
Yeah.
Like, it's a work in progress too. I tell Jeremy all the time, is, you know, it's like breakfast and everything else. You could just try something, see how it goes. You can always go back. But one of the things, he's here to make change. So some changes you might not like, and, you know, again, he'll try it. If it doesn't work, he'll go back or move it around. He's trying to see what works for everybody, for the finances. He's been tasked basically with trying to make this break even. So numbers are on, you know, his docket. It may not be all, and everybody doesn't feel that way, but that's kind of what he was tasked to when he took the job. So that's one of his priorities.
Just again, so there's no surprises next month. You know, I feel like if there's a lodge summary, why isn't there not a golf course summary?
I would say Jeremy's doing a really good job, and he is really making efforts. And so just from a celebration perspective and the things that we do from an event perspective, he's been open, had some great ideas, and so I think we'll continue to see more of that. But it also goes to how well we receive it as a community and how much positive as well as critical feedback we provide. And so I think that helps too.
Has there been an announcement, Pete, maybe in the communique about the fact that we're serving breakfast on, is it Saturday and Sunday, is that?
I'm trying to think good, but eventually it's gotta get people back.
Sunday.
Yeah.
I think we still preach a little bit.
Yeah, sorry.
Get us back on track.
Well, I guess my definition of an amenity is not losing $130,000 a year on that amenity. And golf and the lodge are not comparable because the golf is covered by the 86 court case. And if it were up to Bill, without the 86 court case, we would be charging trail fees and the golf course would be making money. But we can't, so we don't. But the court case does not cover the lodge. So, you know, break even is good. And why do people have to subsidize it that don't eat there? My wife and I rarely eat there. But yet I'm subsidizing it in $130,000. And it's year in and year out, pre-COVID, post-COVID, now. I don't coffee. It's a cost of doing business. I'm fine with it. I knew it when I moved here.
I suggest we move forward.
Wonderful. Okay, I'll get off myself first. Thank you. Okay. Are there any additional items of business that we can talk about and open for? Being none, are there any comments from the members at this point?
Just to comment on what you guys were talking about, I've been on the lodge and tavern committee, so I've had some experience, but I agree that what Bill was saying is very different from the golf course. I don't agree with free. I agree with you that we should keep the lodge open as much as possible. It's a gathering place. It's a place my wife and I come here, we come a lot, and but I don't agree with you that you need to take those numbers out of the report. You're managing them. That's a lot of revenue and a lot of expense that you guys are in charge of, and you need to be looking at that. This community needs to be looking at it. That's the Bill's point. It's very different than the golf course. So I do think, hope you guys try to keep it open more. I think Jeremy's been doing a great job experimenting and doing new things, and it's been a lot better up here. But I do think we need to continue to manage that. I appreciate people subsidizing me because I eat up here a lot. So, and I don't necessarily agree that it's right, but it is happening. So, but I will also point out, dig into those numbers a little differently too. This lodge, there's a lot more to the lodge than food and beverage. Dig into the food and beverage portion only and take out the extra stuff that's in the lodge. Because food and beverage doesn't fund the lights here and that we're having today in this meeting and the maintenance and a lot of these things. So the food and beverage is very different than lodge. And when you get to just the general lodge, it is like the golf course. It's the meeting rooms and we all share that, but food and beverage, we don't all share the same way.
And it is, it's, under lodge management, on the financials is not the food and beverage side of it, it's all this.
Right.
So when I say we lost $130,000, it's on food and beverage, it's not on this.
But as long as, yeah.
Kim?
Got
Oh, Gerald Smith, 1419. Another area that needs to be brought to the golf course attention is number 16. If you haven't played number 16 in the last week or two, right off the green, toward the lake wall, there's a couple of sinkholes that are about 5 or 6 foot deep. And that erosion continues, and the erosion is working its way down the lake side. So Rich, I think you need to add that to your list, and it needs to be dealt with probably pretty quickly. So.
That's true. Yeah.
Leslie McElroy, 1357. I just wanted to say on the par 3, we had a wonderful match opportunity that came that really has helped to put us over the edge on this from Dave and Lisa Porter. If you guys have a chance to see them and thank them, they matched 50,000 in the donations for the last week, and it really is what has kind of gotten us very close to that edge. So thank you to them.
Yeah.
In my bill, 169, I had some comments about the industrial equipment, but first about the lodge. I don't use it on Sunday afternoons, but I did have friends, and I think their biggest gripe was showing up and not knowing that it was being closed. I don't think that was advertised really. It's just show up and invited friends and stuff, and kind of embarrassed a little bit to them, I guess. Just comment on that. But what I want to make real comments about was the division change for industrial equipment. A couple of the brief time is up there, so I need a chance to review it real quick. If I read it correctly, I see a couple of unintended consequences, I guess, for lack of better words. One, so if I understood right, the only thing that was exempted is there for permitted work overnight, for overnight.
Correct.
So there is some work that doesn't take a permit that uses some of that equipment. As an example, just this last week, I had Mass Tree Service doing some stuff. They didn't finish, they left their equipment overnight to continue the next morning. So that's just one example of lots of landscaping type work that uses big equipment that they have a need to stay up time. The second comment was in the list of types of equipment. Did I have that wrong or? Okay, thanks. In the list of equipment, the one that caught my attention that I think could kind of grab a lot of stuff out there that maybe it's your intent to grab it, or maybe it's not, was the tandem axle trailers. There's a lot of personal utility trailers that are tandem axle, a lot of boat trailers that are tandem axle. Just about every RV camper is on tandem axle. And so I think that's gonna grab a lot of stuff that maybe weren't intended to grab. Tandem axle or description.
We're talking about industrial equipment.
Well, I know, but all it says is tandem axle trailers. And that's why I'm talking about unintended consequences of how it's worded there, so. I understand your intent was industrial, but I think there's gonna be a couple of unintended consequences there. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any further comments? Okay, we would like to take a recess here, unless y'all have an objection to doing that. We'll be back at 5:07. 5:08, sorry. And go to executive session. Thank you. Okay. No,